thank you all for coming. You are now here to witness the trial of the boy Z for the murder of his classmate N. During the proceedings, we ask that you silence your cell phones and any other noisy electronics, as we do not want to disrupt the course of justice. Thank you. We hope you enjoy the show.
I didn't expect everyone to be here already. Well, since we're all here anyway, this presents me a striking opportunity. I'm covering the Z case. And it'd be good to get some more public opinion, so who wants to go first? You don't know, do you? My God. Well, let me paint the picture as best I can. Not but 5 months ago, a local schoolboy, N, was found murdered just outside the campsite his class was using for their Easter training exercises. The accused? His classmate Z, who confessed on the spot to the crime. The only witness was a young woman, a thief, who was living in the nearby caves at the time, and who had entered an illicit relationship with the accused. Did she taint Z and drive him to murder, or was deviance always in his heart? Let me read you a few of the thoughts I gathered from the involved parties. The first being the teacher of both N and Z. Now, the teacher told me during the course of our interview that he is just as baffled as ever by this terrible tragedy of youth.
Z was always one of our brightest pupils. Certainly no abnormalities of character or traces of mental deficiencies and criminal instincts.
And do you believe that the public has any reason to worry about the state of our youth?
Thanks to a high standard in rigor and education, our youngsters have a strong sense of devotion to their duty, and they place their country above themselves. This murder is a solitary and deeply regrettable retrogression to the worst days of liberalism.
Well, I'm sure all parents are relieved to know that this incident was only a rare occurrence of criminal individualism. Later, I spoke to the class's military instruction chief. He struck me as an old soldier who never let himself grow stale.
In my view, this tragedy is due to a lack of discipline. Throughout my entire experience of the war, I have never seen such an undisciplined display of aggression. As an old soldier, I'm all for peace.
I also spoke to the parents of the deceased, Mr. and Mrs. N, who graciously gave me a moment of their time.
Incorruptible justice will soon elicit whether our poor Otto fell victim to the unpardonable negligence of those in charge of him. I am thinking in particular of their teacher. I believe that all teachers should be subject to a severe examination in order to eliminate corrupt enemies and traitors.
I am now left only with my husband here, but Otto and I are still in spiritual contact. I belong to a spiritualist circle, and they have helped me to reach out to Otto several times. I hope that soon his spirit will reveal to me who killed him.
I also spoke to the mother of the accused. My visit was brief. She is the widow of a university professor of physiology. She's in mourning and gave no comment.
In this sensational case of murder, the defense is clearly in a precarious position. Not only do we have to fight against the prosecution, but also the accused against the accused's own self-incrimination.
Self-incrimination?
Mm-hmm. See, the accused confessed to the crime immediately and at the scene. He confessed to a criminal attack upon the dead boy. And I want you to keep in mind now that it was manslaughter, not murder, that was implicated. But in spite of his own confession, I'm profoundly convinced that he is not responsible for this deed, and he is in fact shielding another party.
Are you asserting that the crime was committed by someone else?
I am having to assert that, yes. See, I have definitive, certain proof to back this claim too. See, he's not the culprit. Consider the motive for a moment. Well, we're told to believe is that a schoolboy killed his classmate because the latter read his diary. This diary contained nothing but an account of an affair with a wanton runaway and the loveless words of a youth tragically deranged. Z wrote in this diary without thinking to himself, "Now whoever reads this shall die." No, this wasn't an actionable threat. Instead, this was the chivalrous passions of a young boy possessed by love and trying to protect his lover from scrutiny. Haven't you wondered why it is that he tells us nothing about the actual deed and claims he cannot remember? It's because he's not the slightest clue as to how, where, or when the deed even occurred. All he knows is that a stone was used, so when we show him a stone, he points to it and exclaims like an animal because he knows this is the only opportunity to protect his lover.
But what about the torn coat and the scratches on his hands?
Well, I propose we believe Z insofar as his having recounted it, but a scuffle within by the cliffs. I mean, this he can recount in detail and clearly was present. But afterward, he wandered off and went back to camp, and it was another who raised the stone. A girl.
The lover you've already implicated.
The very same. So she dominated him, and she dominates him where he sits right now. He's under her spell, and we're going to have to get to the depths of her instability and deception. We'll call in psychiatrists, we'll put her on the stand and find out the truth in the matter. Perhaps even tomorrow.
How long do you think the trial will last?
2 or 3 days at most. There are a few witnesses that I have to go over, but I'm going to have to fight the accused myself on this, and I will find the truth, and I will fight until the end. Z will get charged with abetting theft and aiding, perhaps, but nothing more than that.
This is what I've gathered so far, and it all leads up to the critical question.
Nothing.
What happened in the woods that day? 3 went out and only 2 returned, so we must turn our eyes and our ears to them and try to decipher between the truths and the lies being spun before us. I hope you will keep a watchful eye and see if you can spot the lies and discrepancies in today's proceedings.
But what of God? Will no one think of their place in all of this?
We're here to ascertain whether the boy Z has indeed murdered his schoolmate N on a school camping trip. Please bring the accused party.
Have you read my interview in the paper?
It was well conducted.
Z, you are accused of murdering N with violence and direct intent. What have you to say for yourself?
I was brought up as most children these days are. My parents were not overly strict, but they taught me a great deal about responsibility and sensibility. Then my father passed away, though that was a long time ago. I'm an only child, so it was lonely after my father died. I'd hoped to become a great inventor someday, but no trivial trash common gadgets for the folks to buy up and gawk at. No, I wanted to make enormous inventions, whole changes to the structure of our lives.
And what if you had found you couldn't invent anything at all?
Then I'd have been a pilot, in the airmail service, an overseas pilot. That's what I'd have liked best.
A fine choice. Now moving ahead, tell us about the camp. What life was like in the days leading up to the crime?
We were out there for several days, marching, shooting, saluting the flag. We met a sergeant out there, and we came with our teacher. Our teacher's opinions often seemed to me very childish ones.
What do you mean?
He was always talking about how things in this world should be, and not how they really are.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
And you know the 5th commandment?
Yes, I know it.
And do you follow its teaching?
I try.
Are you sorry for what you have done?
Yes. Very sorry.
Continue on then with the details of the crime itself.
We woke up very early that morning and spread out over the bushes to advance on a chain of hills held by an imaginary enemy. Near the caves, I ran up against N. I was mad because he broke open my box. We started to fight, N and I, and he almost threw me down off over the rocks. I saw red. I sprang back and threw the stone at him.
You are still on the rock?
No.
Where then?
I forgot.
Well, Where did your memory pick up again?
I went back to the camp and wrote in my diary that I'd had a fight with them.
That is the last entry, but you left the closing sentence unfinished.
Yes, because my teacher interrupted me.
Why did he wish to see you?
I don't know.
No doubt he'll tell us. Do you recognize that stone?
Yes.
Do you know to whom does the pencil belong and the compass?
Not to me.
So they belong to N, who... Wait, only the pencil belonged to N. Why did you tell us the compass belonged to you?
I forgot.
Perhaps, Your Honor, the compass doesn't belong to either of them.
What are you implying?
I wish to imply that this fatal compass, which doesn't belong to N, might not belong to Z either. It might in fact be the property of a third person. Would Your Honor be so kind as to ask the accused if there was a third person on scene?
There was no third person there.
How is it that he remembers so clearly this fact, but has quite forgotten how, where, and when the murder even took place?
It appears my learned friend wishes to infer that it was not the accused who committed the murder, but a mysterious unknown.
Isn't there a certain wanton girl, the leader of a robber band, who entered an illicit relationship with the accused, now in custody? There's your unmysterious unknown.
She was sufficiently questioned, and we will later hear what the examiner has to say. Not to mention that the accused here has already confessed without delay. The idea that the defense suggests that this young girl is the murderer and the accused is merely shielding her is on the verge of being fantastic.
This case isn't finished yet. There's an entry in your diary which reads, "She took up a stone and threw it at me. If it had hit me, I shall not be here now."
I was exaggerating. It was only a small stone. Please don't defend me. I want to be punished for what I've done.
For what you've done? For what you've done? What about your mother? Haven't you thought of her and her suffering at all? Don't you care about what she's going through and the harm that you're doing her? No, you don't.
I believe we've heard enough on this for the time being. Let's break for lunch.
May I borrow a cigarette? I'm afraid I've misplaced my own.
Of course.
Thank you. You here for the Z case?
Yes. I walk along this road each day and stop on these steps to smoke. I like to watch the lawmen bustle to and fro, observe as lives and families are broken and vindicated over and over. There was such an uproar over this Z case, I decided to forego my normal route and stop here a while to watch the proceedings. Are you a lawman?
No, I'm a teacher.
The Z case. It's strange, isn't it?
How so?
Everyone involved in this case is guilty, or seems to be. The witnesses, the sergeant, even the parents.
The parents?
It's not just the young people that are losing their discipline. It's their parents as well. It feels as if they all don't care about God nowadays. They act as if God doesn't exist.
And if only one knew where God lived.
I live everywhere, everywhere where I am not forgotten.
Who are you?
I am the creator, the watcher, the preserver. I am the voice in sight of the world.
This can't be real.
Here I stand before you, speaking with all my power, and still you deny me.
I can't believe in you. I can't believe in you or your evil. Not when faced with the children in the windows.
Do not presume my silence or my evil. I have come here and been made flesh to demand something of you.
Me? What did you want with me?
When you are called as witness and name my name in the oath, do not conceal the fact it was you who broke open the box.
But why should I say anything? I will be punished, for I shielded the thief.
Do this!
But I will lose everything. My job, my daily bread.
Then lose it! Do not instead bring about new injustice.
But who will take care of my parents? I am the only one.
Shall I show you your childhood? Your scolding mother? Your angry father forever quarreling? You would support these before me? Consider me as your father now, as your mother, and care for me for the rest of your days. Tell them it was you who broke open the box. Do my will and grieve me no more.
We are ready for our next witness, Mrs. Z. Please step forward. Tell us about your son. What was he like in his youth?
He was a quiet, ill-tempered, sometimes violent child. I believe he got his outbursts of violence from his father. He had no illnesses other than the common sort, no signs of mental abnormality. Your Honor, may I ask my son a question?
Well, not a protocol. In this case, I will allow it.
How long have you had that compass? You never had one before. Before you left, you were complaining that you would be the only boy at the camp without a compass. That's not his compass, and whoever it belongs to is the killer.
Do you hear what your mother says?
Yes, my mother's lying.
I propose a commission to account for the accused mental condition, please.
Noted. We will return to that later. For now, we still have a witness giving testimony.
I'm lying. This is what you say, that I'm lying?
Yes.
I've never told a lie in my life, not before and not now, but you've always lied. I'm telling the truth, but you still want to shield this strumpet, this prostitute.
She's
Hold
not-
your tongue! You think of nothing but that poisonous wretch. You never think of me, your poor mother.
She's worth more than you are.
Enough! The accused now faces 2 days jail time for insulting a witness. This is unprecedented. The way you treat your mother.
She isn't a mother. She isn't. She's never bothered about me, only about her servants. Ever since I've been born, I've heard her hateful voice yelling at the maids in the kitchen.
Quite like my son. Just like his father. To always take the girl's side.
Do you remember Thecla?
What of her?
She was only 15 and you wore her down as nobody else could. She had to go on ironing until 11 at night and have nothing to eat either. Be up at 4 in the morning. And then she ran away. And it was all your fault. Do you remember?
Yes, I remember, because she used to steal and she couldn't face proper judgment at the hands of the law for her crime.
She stole so she could get out of it all. And then father came home a week later and told us that she'd been caught and sent to a reformatory. It was all your fault and only yours.
Mine?
That's what father said.
Your father has said a great many things.
But he never lied. Never! Even another one like Thecla were near enough. No, mother. I have no love for you now.
Well, seeing as I have said my piece and been disowned by my son, I think I shall see myself out. Finally alone, in control of my own affairs, not looking out for any children or answering to any malcontent husbands. Do what you will with him.
Well, we haven't got all day, and justice wants its due. Teacher, you're up next. Do you swear by God to tell the truth to the best of your ability and conceal nothing?
I swear, I will conceal nothing.
You are a geographer teacher, correct?
Geography and history, yes.
I have before me a document that details certain comments you made in a class session recently to the deceased about an essay he wrote on the colonial question. Do you deny making these remarks?
Not at all. I only wish I hadn't got in trouble for making them.
Aside from your disagreements with his comments, how did you feel about N and Z? What were their characters in your estimation?
They were careful, thoughtful boys. They roughhoused at that age, but what boy doesn't? They attended their lessons, completed their assignments on time. I have nothing to complain about.
Well, since we already have your statement on record for the incident itself, I think that's all I wanted to hear from you today. You are dismissed.
Your Honor, if I may, a moment, please.
Please.
The box. The one Z kept his diary in. N didn't break it.
Well, then who did?
I did.
What?
I opened the box with a piece of wire.
You!
Yes. A few days into camp, as previously mentioned, we established nightly rotations in order to catch the bandit gang. One night, the sergeant and I set out to monitor these watches as we thought they were not being performed adequately. That night, I witnessed Z receive a letter from a mysterious girl, and the next day I learned of Z keeping a diary. And in that diary, I presumed there would be an account of what had happened. So I broke into the box and read every entry from while we had been at camp and learned of the illicit romance that had begun between Z and Eve. Knowing I could not permit such behavior to continue, I set out to catch the two of them in the act, to scold Z and to ensure Eve would never return to the camp again. As I sat there and watched them, I was frozen in fear and shame. How could I tell one of my students that I had broken into his private property, that I had learned of his most intimate affairs, that I was going to end his personal relationship? I couldn't do it. So I sat there and I watched Z and Eve and then the man in the moon. And by the time I awoke, it was already too late. N had already taken the blame and was missing, and I knew it would mean even less if I were to speak then, so I didn't. And when N was discovered dead, I knew what mistake I had made, and I continue not to speak, out of shame and guilt. I'm only speaking to you now because God has compelled me to.
I should like to impress upon you the grave consequences of this interesting testimony. The prosecution retains the right to accuse you of misleading the authorities and of being accessory to the theft.
I swore to conceal nothing.
My son's death lies at his door! His door only!
Beware of God! Beware of God!
I do not fear God any longer.
Do you know what that is?
Yes, it shows the direction.
And do you know to whom it belongs?
It's not mine.
Hey, don't lie!
I'm not. I'd like to tell the truth like the teacher did.
I think that would work out very poorly for you if you did.
Go on then. Tell us your account of what occurred that day.
When Z went near our caves, N came along too.
You were there?
Yes.
Why are you only telling us now? You said you weren't present when Z struck N when we questioned you at your arrest.
He didn't strike N.
Then who did?
Z and N were having a fight. N was stronger and threw Z off the cliff. I thought he was dead for sure. It made me mad, and then I remembered that Z had said N had seen the diary and knew everything about me. I picked up a rock and started moving towards N to bash him on the head. I truly wanted to. But then a boy, I don't know who, sprang out of the bushes. I was startled, and he pushed me over and took the stone and started moving towards N himself. I thought he would kill me, but he didn't realize I'd seen. I ran to where Z had landed and found him alive, not cut up at all, just a little scratched up on his hands.
I propose the case against Z be dismissed entirely on these grounds.
How do we know that she is even telling the truth?
She is.
Did you see these other boys striking in as well?
No, I didn't. What?
So you're the one that threw the stone at him, then?
It wasn't me.
We'll come back to that. I'd like to hear why both of you keep this concealed until this very moment, if both of you are not guilty. Well?
Z thought I had killed N. He couldn't believe it was anyone else.
And are we to believe it?
I don't know. That's how it was, though.
And would you have sat by with only your tears and seen Z sent to prison?
I've done enough crying, but I was so scared of the reformatory again, and now I've told you he's not guilty.
Why only now?
Because the teacher told the truth as well, I think.
And what if the teacher hadn't?
I thought you loved Z. You know, sitting by idly while he goes to jail is very different than real love.
No, I don't love him. I've never loved him.
You admit to having followed N with the stone.
Yes, sir.
And you wanted to kill him.
But I didn't.
What did you do instead?
Like I said, I was pushed over and this other boy took the stone and started moving towards N.
Could you describe this boy?
He was moving so quickly.
Aha, the mysterious unknown.
Would you recognize him if you saw him again?
Maybe he had these big, staring, unblinking eyes like a fish.
The age of the fish.
What are you saying? Sir, what are you saying?
Nothing, sir. It's just my nerves. They're shot at the end of a long day.
I think we've heard quite enough from everyone today. This court is adjourned. Thank you all for your patience.
Not even 24 hours after the conclusion of the trial and a verdict was reached on the Z case. Z was charged as an accessory to theft and was given a short sentence. However, the prosecuting attorney decided to open charges against the young woman, Eve, for first-degree murder. While she abstainedly maintained her innocence, it is doubtful anyone at the trial believed her, for it is a well-known fact that one who lies is bound to lie again. The accused did not even offer her his hand as they exited the courtroom, and it has been that he has been spurned by her in the proceedings. Meanwhile, the teacher of both Z and N now faces charges of theft and vandalism of private property, while some even argue that he should stand trial as an accessory to murder. This has been a most shocking and thrilling proceeding, but I believe we can all sleep well, knowing that justice has been served. Thank you, all of you, for indulging me. I'm quite proud of how I wrote that article. It really was a dramatic series of events, don't you think? I hope you all enjoyed your time here. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some more interviews to go conduct.
Oh, T. I'm so glad I've run into you here. There are a number of things I was hoping we could talk over.
By all means, sir.
Do you think it was the girl that murdered Anne?
Yes, sir.
So you don't think any of the boys could have done it?
No, she only invented that to wriggle out of it. What is it you want of me, sir?
I thought you might be able to tell me which one of the boys had done it.
Me? Why?
Because I know you're always spying.
Yes, I have observed various things.
Have you read the diary?
No. But I watched you, sir. When you slipped out of the camp and eavesdropped on Z and the girl, you touched my face. I was standing behind you. You were terribly frightened, but I wasn't at all.
Are you on good terms with N?
Yes, I was on very good terms with Anne. You're speaking to me, sir, as if I were the other boy. As if I'd killed Anne. Although you know that no one knows what the other boy looks like. Even the girl can only say that he had eyes like a fish. And I haven't. They're more like that of a doe. My mother and everybody says so. I should say that rather than me, it's you who've got eyes like a fish.
Me?
Don't you know, sir, the nickname you've got in school? Haven't you heard it? It's the fish. It's because of your expressionless face. No one knows what you're thinking or whether you're really trouble about anyone. We always say the teacher just looks on. A man could be run over in the street, and he would just watch and do nothing, even if the other fellow were dying. I have to go home now, sir. My lunch will be waiting, and if I'm late, I'll get into a row.
Even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light, but I will unmask you.